So good morning dear students. Today we are going to discuss the drug part, the drug which affects the calcium balance in the body. So the most important ones are the bisphosphonate. Okay, so the bisphosphonate, as the name suggests, bis means to di, okay, and phosphonate means it contains a phosphate group, so they are also known as diphosphonates. Okay, so you can see the structure there, chemical structure. They contain the two phosphate groups which are attached to a common carbon atom, so these are known as bisphosphonate. So they are very similar to the pyrophosphate molecule which are present in the bone. Okay, so how you can see the structure. So these are bisphosphonate which contains the phosphate, carbon phosphate, and these are pyrophosphate which contains the phosphate, oxygen phosphate. Okay, so when oxygen, central oxygen is replaced by carbon, it exerts more stability to the bone. So according to the generation, bisphosphonates are classified as first generation bisphosphonates, okay, which include etidronate, telludronate. Then second generation pamidronate, alendronate, ivandronate, and the third generation which contains rhizidronate and joledronate. This is joledronate. The spelling is wrong. That is Jole, ZOLEDRONATE, joledronate. First generation bisphosphonates, they contain a, what is the difference? The difference lies in their structure. So they contain a simple side chain containing a chlorophenyl group, and they are very less potent compared to other generation. That's why etidronate, telludronate are not used nowadays. Second generation, they contain a nitrogen group in their side chain. They are more potent compared to the first generation. Then third generation, they also contain a nitrogen atom, and they are also more potent than the first generation. And second generation and third generation are now available in the market. Now coming to the mechanism of action. So basically there are two main mechanism of action. The most common, which is used by all generation of bisphosphonates, is the stimulation of osteoclast apoptosis. Okay, so they cause apoptosis of the osteoclast, which will decrease bone resorption, because osteoclast, they are responsible for causing bone resorption. Another mechanism which is followed by second and third generation bisphosphonates are inhibition of the cholesterol synthesis or mevalonate synthesis, which also decreases the bone resorption by decreasing the osteoclast number. In addition, second and third generation also increase the release of interleukin 6, which suppress the differentiation of osteoclast precursor cells. Okay, so they decrease the osteoclast number. Okay, so these are the two main mechanisms are causing apoptosis, inhibiting the mevalonate synthesis, and third additional mechanism is release of interleukin 6 and decreasing the differentiation of the osteoclast. Now let's see the picture B. So we know there is an osteolytic pit which is produced by the resorptive pit which is produced by the osteoclast. Okay, so when osteoclasts are matured, they cause the formation of resorptive pit on the bone, right? So yesterday also I told you, so that resorptive pit starts forming when osteoclasts develop the domain which is known as the ruffle domain. So this ruffle domain will start producing various osteolytic various proteolytic enzymes and acid, and starts forming resorptive pit. Okay, so in the resorptive pit, because of the production of acid by the osteoclast, there is a zone which is known as the acid zone. Okay, in that acid zone, the minerals of the bone, hydroxyapatite crystals of the bone, these are in these are solubilized. Okay, so because of this acid, slowly there is release of calcium from the resorptive pit towards the osteoclast. Okay, so calcium will be released from this osteolytic pit. So what bisphosphonate does is, bisphosphonate, they have a very high affinity for the calcium phosphate, which is a component of the bone mineral. Okay, so they have a very high affinity for the calcium, so they also gets deposited into the osteolytic pit. Okay, so because they have structural similarity to the pyrophosphate. Okay, so along with calcium, when the calcium is being released, they are also released and they enter the osteoclast by endocytosis. Okay, so the osteoclast endocytosed the bisphosphonate molecule. Okay, and once inside the osteoclast, they activate the Caspase system and then they produce apoptosis of the osteoclast. Okay, so that is the mechanism. So first one is the formation, when there is formation of osteolytic pit, bisphosphonate being structural similarity to the bone mineral and having high affinity for the calcium phosphate, it will accumulate in the resorptive pit, and when calcium is released from the resorptive pit, along with calcium, bisphosphonate are also released, which enters inside the osteoclast and then it stimulates apoptosis. So that is the one mechanism. Another mechanism is picture A. It will inhibit enzyme which is known as farcinyl pyrophosphate synthesis, FPPS, that is farcinyl pyrophosphate synthase. Okay, by inhibiting this enzyme, farcinyl pyrophosphate is not formed. Okay, and actually this farcinyl pyrophosphate is important for the prenylation of the proteins which are important component of the osteoclast. Because prenylation means addition of a hydrophobic molecule in the protein. Okay, so that is very important for certain post-translational modification and all, for activation of certain enzymes. Okay, so like that in osteoclast also there is this prenylation is important. This addition of hydrophobic molecule in the protein of osteoclast is important for its activation. So if this FPPS, that is the farcinyl pyrophosphate, is inhibited, so then there is no prenylation of the protein. Okay, so activation of osteoclast will not be there, so that will also cause decreased activity of the osteoclast. Okay, also certain metabolites are produced during this process, that metabolite which will cause apoptosis of the osteoclast and death of the osteoclast. So this is the another mechanism, inhibition of farcinyl pyrophosphate. Okay, because of inhibition of this farcinyl pyrophosphate, prenylation of certain proteins which are important for the functioning of the osteoclast is lost. Okay, and because of this, the activity of osteoclast will not be there, that means resorption of bone will not be there. Also some metabolites are produced, byproducts are produced, which causes apoptosis of the osteoclast. So these are the two important functions of bisphosphonate. One is producing apoptosis, another one is inhibition of the mevalonate synthesis or inhibition of the cholesterol synthesis. So in biphosphonate, the phosphorus moiety of pyrophosphate is substituted with more stable phosphorus carbon phosphorus moiety. This I have shown you. The POP is replaced by PCP, which is more stable. So bisphosphonate inhibit osteoclastic resorption of bone by binding to the hydroxyapatite crystal of bone. So they are in the resorptive pit, they bind to the hydroxyapatite crystal with the calcium phosphate. They bind to the calcium phosphate of the hydroxyapatite crystal. When osteoclasts attach to the bone, so biphosphonates are also released, which are then internalized by endocytosis into the osteoclast, and that will cause apoptosis of the osteoclast. Simple. Another one is inhibit mevalonate synthesis or inhibit cholesterol synthesis. Okay, so nitrogen containing by bisphosphonate, that's our second generation and third generation bisphosphonate. They also affect the prenylation of certain GTP binding protein. Okay, so prenylation of GTP binding protein is important, which is involved in cytoskeletal organization, membrane ruffling, and vesicle formation in the vesicle movement of osteoclast. Okay, so they, by inhibiting the farcinyl diphosphate, okay, or for farcinyl pyrophosphate synthase, which is a key enzyme of the mevalonate pathway. Okay, so there is no prenylation of the protein. So one of the most important protein which is not prenylated is the GTP binding protein. Okay, and what are the functions? There are various functions like cytoskeletal organization, well, structural stability, to provide structural stability is not there. Then membrane ruffling, so the ruffle borders which are formed for the resorption of the bone, they are not formed. Okay, as well as vesicle movement of osteoclast is also prevented. Okay, so that are the two main mechanism of action. Now coming to pharmacokinetics of bisphosphonates, they are highly polar. Okay, so they less poorly absorbed through the GIT. Okay, but still they are given second and third generation. They are given orally. Part of absorbed drug is incorporated in the bone and remains for long period, years to months. Okay, the T-half of some bisphosphonates are around 10 years. Okay, so the usually after more than 5 years, the bisphosphonates are usually not given. So there is no use of giving bisphosphonate after 5 years because the T-half is around 10 years. So the free drug is excreted unchanged in urine. So what are the therapeutic uses of bisphosphonate? For prevention and treatment of postmenopausal osteoporosis. Now bisphosphonate, they have become the first line of drug for postmenopausal osteoporosis. Okay, so they are better than selective estrogen receptor modulator and hormone replacement therapy. Okay, so bisphosphonate are now the first line drug. And yesterday also I told you people that if we are using calcium and vitamin D supplementation for osteoporosis, they should be used as an adjuvant to bisphosphonate. Okay, so it is better to use them as an adjuvant to bisphosphonate than using them alone. Okay, because using calcium and vitamin D alone has not much effect on the osteoporosis than if you use them along with bisphosphonate. Okay, so it is better to use bisphosphonate plus calcium and vitamin D. So alendronate, which is second generation bisphosphonate, is more effective than HRT or raloxifene. So they are not only helpful for treatment of and prevention and treatment of postmenopausal osteoporosis, but they are also very helpful for the treatment of osteoporosis which are steroid induced or idiopathic osteoporosis in both male and female. And if we see that estrogen, if we compare with estrogen, the estrogen is only effective for prevention of vertebral fractures, but bisphosphonate, they can prevent fractures of other bones also, and they are usually given for around 5 years. Okay, so after 5 years, I told you T-half is very long, 10 years. So after 5 years, there is usually no use of giving bisphosphonate. Second is Paget's disease. Okay, so yesterday also I told you what is Paget's disease. Okay, so in Paget's disease there is increased activity of the osteoclast. Okay, so there is more resorption of the bone, and there is deranged remodeling of the bone. Okay, so the bone which are formed are very fragile and very prone to fracture. In X-ray you can see the honeycomb appearance. Okay, because of increased osteolytic activity, there is honeycomb appearance of the bones in the X-ray. So what does bisphosphonate do? They arrest the osteolytic lesions because they inhibit the osteoclast. So if there is no osteoclast, then osteolytic lesions will also decrease, reduce bone pain and improve other secondary symptoms. Okay. So which drugs are used? Alendronate, risedronate, pamidronate, zoledronate are used. So second generation or third generation bisphosphonate you can use along with calcitonin. So it is better to combine calcitonin with bisphosphonate for treatment of Paget's disease. Okay, so you can give calcitonin for around 6 months. Okay, sorry, so you can give bisphosphonate for around 6 months. Okay, and you can repeat after a gap. Then third one is hypercalcemia of pregnancy. So in hypercalcemia of pregnancy is a medical emergency. Okay, so you have to treat it urgently. So mainly the patient may present with severe dehydration and altered consciousness. Okay, so you have to give the patient, you have to correct rehydration. Okay, after that you can give furosemide to increase calcium release, calcium excretion, and for bisphosphonate you can use. Okay, though the onset of action is later on 24 to 48 hours, but still bisphosphonates are very helpful in this condition. Okay, so pamidrone is 60 to 90 milligram IV 2 to 4 hours, or zoledronate 4 milligram IV 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes can be given. Okay, then you can also add calcitonin. Okay, 6 to 12 RD for 2 days. Okay, so that is the use of bisphosphonate, that is the hypercalcemia of malignancy. Then osteolytic bone metastasis, you can also give in osteolytic bone metastasis, like pamidronate, zoledronate are used. And some drugs like zoledronate, it also have a anti-tumor property. Okay, so that is also beneficial in case of osteolytic bone metastasis. Okay, so the uses of bisphosphonates are osteoporosis, Paget's disease of the bone, hypercalcemia of malignancy, and osteolytic bone metastasis. And usually second or third generation along with calcitonin are effective in hypercalcemia of malignancy and in case of Paget's disease. Now coming to the adverse effects. What are the adverse effects? Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. So these are very troublesome. Esophagitis, peptic ulcer. Because there is a high risk of developing peptic ulcer in patients who are receiving bisphosphonate. Others are fever, myalgia, hypercalcemia can occur. Okay, then headache, skin rash, and renal failure. So what are the practice point? How do you advise the patient to take bisphosphonate? So one is, tablet must be swallowed whole with a full glass of water on an empty stomach at least 30 to 60 minutes before food, while standing or sitting upright. Second thing is, patient must not lie down for 30 minutes after administration of alendronic acid and risitronate, or 1 hour after ibandronic acid, and they must not be taken at bedtime before rising. So they increases the risk of reflux esophagitis. They cause reflux esophagitis. That's why when you have taken alendronate, risitronate, you should not lay down on the bed immediately. Okay, and it should not be taken while you are going to sleep or when you are about to wake up. Okay, so that should be taken care. And patient should be advised to stop the bisphosphonate tablet and seek medical attention if they develop signs of esophageal irritation. Okay, so this thing should be considered when you are prescribing bisphosphonates to the patients. So this is a serious complication of bisphosphonate, which is known as BRONJ, that is the bisphosphonate related osteonecrosis of the jaw. Okay, so you can see the part of your jawbone or the mandible, okay, when osteonecrosis occurs. So what are the advice to the patient who are taking bisphosphonate or who have developed osteonecrosis? So eliminate caries. So you have to eliminate caries, extractions, or restoration. If you are having taking bisphosphonate and you develop a dental caries, then you should not go for extraction of the tooth. Establish healthy periodontium. That means you go for scaling and extraction of the tooth enamel, so that should also be avoided. Then you can, if you have no caries or you are not going for an extraction or you are not going for any scaling and all, then you can go for then you can take the bisphosphonate therapy. And during that therapy also you need to continuously monitor the patient oral health. Okay, then you have to do the clinical examination of the patient. Then you can do a radiological examination of the patient if the patient complains of pain in and around the orofacial region. Then maintain oral health, avoid extraction and avoid dentures. Okay, so osteonecrosis of the jaw, which is known as bisphosphonate related osteonecrosis of the jaw, is a serious complication in patients who are receiving bisphosphonate, and for them extraction of tooth should be prohibited. The patient should maintain the oral hygiene. The patient should continuously go for clinical and radiological examination of the oral region. Okay, so these are the precautionary measures. Now let's see individual drug. So first generation drugs are not used now. In second generation, pamidronate is used for Paget's disease and hypercalcemia. Then alendronate is a widely used drug. It is the most commonly prescribed drug. It's available in oral form as 5, 10, 35, 75 milligram tablets. Okay, and it is used for prevention of osteoporosis. Then the same advice. So you have to take it in with a glass of water in empty stomach. Okay, should not lie down 30 minutes. Okay, then because there is a risk of causing reflux esophagitis. Okay, tea, coffee, mineral water, juice, and which increases the risk of peptic ulcer and esophagitis should not be taken when you are taking bisphosphonate therapy. Then adverse drug reactions are gastric erosions, retrosternal pain and flatulence. Another drug is risedronate. It is similar to alendronate, but it is more potent. It is used in osteoporosis and Paget's disease. Then zoledronate. Zoledronate is parentally effective and it is more potent. In addition to other mechanism of action, it has an additional mechanism of action, that is, it has an anti-tumor effect also. Okay, so it is very useful for bony metastasis of prostate and breast cancers. Side effects are flu-like symptoms due to cytokine release.